The Oregon Ducks go full Ariana Grande mode on Purdue last night. Thank you next. Final score from Purdue was Oregon 35, Purdue 0. And I want to preface with this. I get it was Purdue. I'm not telling you to beat them on stars. I'm not telling you that Oregon, we somehow learned something drastically different about them from this game. We all knew Oregon was better than Purdue. Heck, everyone in that building last night knew Oregon was better than Purdue. And they were rooting for Purdue. Vegas put that spread right around 30 points because we all knew what Oregon had on the roster and because we knew how much they were going to outmatch the Boilermakers. However, I think there is maybe something to talk about within this game as it pertains to Oregon and their chops, maybe from a DNA standpoint. We'll get to that in a second, but make sure you're subscribed right here. It's college football year-round. Whether you're an Oregon Duck fan, we've had a lot of the Oregon faithful get dialed in here. If you haven't yet subscribed, would love to have you here. Or whether you're just a college football sicko, we want you subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel. We appreciate you so much for that. So I want to preface again. I get it was Purdue. I understand that wholeheartedly. However, the most impressive thing about that win last night, in my eyes, about Oregon, was the spot. Because Oregon now, emotionally draining win over Ohio State, short week, got to go across the country, got to go play the Spoilermakers on a Friday night at their place, and it would have been very understanding for all of us, I think, if Oregon had a little bit of a letdown. I'm not saying letdown in the sense they lose the game, but maybe they don't cover, maybe they look a little bit sloppy. I saw none of that. I saw an Oregon team look militant, had a high-level execution, offensively and defensively, and made that thing look like exactly what it was, a business trip. And here's a little inside baseball, inside football, if you will. We are trying to get more interviews on this show for you, so another reason to be subscribed. And we have, I don't want to jinx it or give false promo. We have plans to get Dillon Gabriel on the show in the near future. All right? So another reason to be subscribed. Last week, after they beat Ohio State, I'm hitting up the Oregon SID saying, hey, can we get Dillon on? They say, yeah, I think we can make that work. We'll let you know. And they actually said, hey, can we punt to a future week? It's a short week, and they want to be dialed in. Dillon wants to be all the way dialed in. That should tell you something, right? Should tell you something. National title teams that go on and hoist big-time hardware, whether it be the conference title or what I just mentioned, the ultimate trophy, which is the national title, they're able to have a certain blinders about themselves when it comes to different spots. Like what I just said, Oregon was supposed to throttle Purdue last night. If Oregon did not have championship-level DNA, or were not able to lock back in from the week that was, which is the biggest win of their season, might be the biggest win of their season until they get to the college football playoff for the Big Ten title game, they would have had some signs of that, right? I'm not telling you they would have lost, but we would have seen, hey, okay, Oregon, they're still trying to reach that, that championship approach, if you will. And now Dan Lanning, as a head coach, has not been to a national championship, but guess what? He's been there as a DC. He knows what it looks like to hit the reset button at a high level. He knows what it looks like to get his team back ready to play regardless of the spot from what he did during his time at Georgia. And so I think that matters. I think you're seeing that permeate across this football team. It is very much so a thank you next. The phrase they have out there in Eugene is Ducks versus them. Doesn't matter who them is. It could be Ohio State. It could be Purdue. It could be the Kansas City Chiefs. It could be the Yale Bulldogs. Doesn't matter. We're going to roll. We're going to do us. We're going to do our thing, and that's going to be that. So speaking of the game itself, it's hard to break down a ton of schematics and big takeaways from a 35-0 game. It is what it is. Dillon Gabriel last night was on shady pharmacist time, the way he was dealing the pill. And it wasn't just the efficiency. To me, we've always known what he is when it comes to an efficiency perspective. We know he's accurate. We know when he's dialed in, he's on time. We saw it last week against Ohio State. But we continue to see now Dillon Gabriel have real deal juice pushing the ball vertical. Last night, 11.6 yards an attempt. That says something. He's not just a guy that's a point guard going to distribute. He can do that. That's kind of his MO, but we saw some big-time throws last night from him. Throwing out routes to the field, which is an NFL kind of throw. Seeing him push the ball downfield. It's not just a thing where Dillon Gabriel's playing within the system. I think Dillon Gabriel is adding extra juice to this system. And a big reason why he's doing that, outside of his own abilities, is the emergence of Evan Stewart. Evan Stewart was a guy you were fired up about when he decided to take his talents to Eugene, if you're an Oregon fan. But he had sort of taken a while to, I don't know if it's acclimate or find his role or find his rhythm, whatever it ends up being, he's cooking now. You saw it last week against Ohio State. You saw it last night with him go for darn near 100 yards on 4 catches. Like, he is a problem now in this Oregon offense. It feels like to me now, as we move into, I guess this is week 8 for Oregon, moving into week 9 of the college football season, they have sort of started to gel and solidify what they are as a football program, as an offense especially. The transfer pieces with DG and with Evan Stewart, like there's a lot of transfers on this team that are playing significant roles. It feels like they're now in a groove, if you will. That's dangerous because that was always the thing with Oregon is like, hey, roster to roster, Oregon, I think, has what they need to compete with the Georgias, with obviously not just compete, but beat the Ohio States. Like, that's where they're at right now from a roster talent perspective. And so to have that roster talent mesh with their system and mesh with their way of doing things and to be at a operating level that they want it to be at to win big-time football games, that's scary. Going back to Evan Stewart, his emergence means you cannot just cover one guy within this offense. Like, lights went out behind me just now. That's what they do on Oregon's offense when Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart and the run game and DG are all rolling. Like, that's what they can bring now, some electricity. They can bring that kind of knockout punch to you. So the fact that as a defense you have to honor all of that, and the fact that DG has that kind of juice throwing the football to spread the field, it puts real deal stress and strain on our defense. One more thing I want to say here. Will Stein, I don't think, got nearly enough credit for what they did last week against Ohio State. They went after that NFL secondary. It was no just kind of feel them out and see where they're at in the second quarter and third quarter, maybe take a couple shots here. Like, it was like, hey, we're coming after you. And so Will Stein, to one, have the confidence in his offense and in his players to go get that done, and two, to be able to draw up winners and dial up winners to go connect against Ohio State. And you saw it again last night with how they attacked Purdue on I guess, when Oregon was on offense and Purdue was on defense. You get what I'm saying. Will Stein, matter of time before he's a head coach. If you're an Oregon fan, you hope that there's a later rather than sooner conversation there. The defense, again, I don't mean to just harp on the offense and not give enough credit to the defense. They look great. Shutout on the road after the game you just had last week. Now you look at the box score and say, well, what's up with those rushing totals? It is what it is. We could be nitpicky about this whole thing. Dillon Gabriel had an interception as well that you're like, don't love that. It is what it is. The mascot lost his head last night. You don't love to see that. So is there ever a perfect football game from the mascot to the defense to the offense? No, but there was nothing there that was concerning to me last night, given what it could have looked like, given the spot for Oregon. Again, I think there's national title DNA. I think they've proven that with their win over Ohio State, but reaffirmed that by absolutely body bagging a team they're supposed to body bag on a short week on the road in that spot. So for Oregon now, they have all of their toughest tests behind them. It's a matter of, okay, can we continue to be the same team every single week? And last night, I get it was Purdue, but that should be encouraging if you're an Oregon Duck fan. Make sure you're locked in right here. If you're an Oregon fan, your Ducks probably have a lot of exciting things in front of them. Guess what? We're going to talk about all of it. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following me on the socials, Instagram and on Twitter, @JDPiquel. Let's enjoy our college football Saturday. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.